right, good morning, morning. Happy Friday. Good to see everyone. I'm excited about our call today and our special guest that we have on that I ran into last weekend in Florida, which I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. But for those of you that are new onto the call today or new in the organization, I see some of the Jersey crew on today. So I need you guys to take out your cell phone. Take out your cell phone. I see you guys. I'm waiting. Take out your cell phone. I know it's in your back pocket. And hey, listen, if you guys that have done this before, you don't have to do it again. You just help the person next to you that doesn't know what they're doing. So pull out your cell phone, go to YouTube. You guys know what that is because you were on it this morning. And type in Clear Channel, K-L-E-A-R channel. K-L-E-A-R channel, and please subscribe. We're over 800 subscribers now. I remember when the subscription list was me, one. I had an army of one, and now we have an army of 800. So listen, my whole goal and my mission is to help change the world one leader at a time. And by setting up this YouTube channel, it's not set up to make money. It's not set up for any of that stuff. It's just set up to make a difference. And I'm really excited to get another amazing entrepreneur on our call today to share her best practices and share her story. So Julia, thank you so much for jumping on this morning. I'm going to pin our screens together so people can see us. But good morning. Where are you coming in from this morning?
I'm in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this time of year, it's beautiful there. It's like 75 and sunny. The lakes are probably amazing. And it's not negative 30 below, and you have to use the underground walkways that are in downtown, right?
Yeah.
So
it's really nice.
So, well, first of all, ran into Julia last week when I was in South Florida. We were visiting Brennan's office in South Florida. And she so nicely says to me, she goes, you know, Ken, one of my goals is to be on the Clear Channel. I was like, really? That's awesome. Well, first of all, the fact that somebody had a goal of being on the channel is like, hey, we're actually making it. We're doing our thing a little bit. But the second piece is, I'm a firm believer that when you just ask and you put things in the world and you set goals, and sometimes you just got to ask for it. And I just said to her, I said, well, you want to be on next week? She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'll make it happen. I know the guy who runs it. So here we are and on Clear Channel. So Julie, do you mind sharing a little bit about your background? I know you're from Illinois. You're home of the John Deere tractor.
Yeah.
Is it East Moline, Illinois? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Grew up in competitive dance and in dance teams, and went to University of Missouri. So do you mind just sharing a little bit about your background so people know who they're getting to know today?
Yeah, totally. So just to preface, guys, here's my post-it of my goal to speak on the Clear Channel. So I'm very excited that I get to check that off today. But thanks for having me on. I'm really, really excited to be here. But yeah, so I'm originally from a smaller town in Illinois. It's called East Moline. The fun fact is that it is the home of the John Deere tractors. So whatever you think it is totally what it is. Grew up doing competitive dance, went to small private Catholic school my whole life. So I was like very sheltered as a kid. I'll be the first to say it. So I really wanted to go to a really big university. So I went to the University of Missouri right when we got in the SEC. So it was super fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. And then I was on the dance team there. I was in a sorority there. Graduated, was just kind of interviewing everywhere, probably like everybody here, just looking for a company that would take a shot on me. I found Taylor Cherry's company in Chicago and started in the business in June of 2018 on Hudson Energy business to business. And then grew my team on that, went through the pandemic, got Amazon as a client, and then opened in late September of 2020 on Amazon. And then we got CenturyLink as a secondary campaign. We did pretty well our first year in business. We did 1.3 million, I think, which I think, Ken, you said you did 1.2. So I was a little bit excited that we beat you. Won. So that was awesome. We promoted out a deal to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He does AT&T. So that's been kind of our first year and a half in a nutshell.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so you're in competitive dance in school, and it's funny, we share something in common. I went to a private Catholic high school myself.
Oh, really?
In South Florida. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there because they're good at sports. So hey, it got me into college. So tell me about that transition from college student and into sales. And there's a lot of people going through where they don't have experience in this, getting into sales, kind of a hard transition. What are some things you did early to really get it down?
Yeah, I mean, I had no sales experience when I came in, and I was actually really, really bad, like when I first started. And not because like sales is hard, but I just lost my attitude like every day. Like anytime a customer would tell me no, I was the person that like cried in my car for like 20 minutes. It was just like really bad and embarrassing now that I talk about it. But really what it came down to was I've always had this competitive drive. I think a lot of people in our industry have competitive drives. A lot of athletes do really well in sales just because they're used to like resiliency and adversity and stuff like that. So when I start something, I'm not really going to be one to say this is like too hard or I can't take on the challenge, So really what I did was I just looked at people that were getting the results that I wanted to get. And I would like force them to meet with me. Like I was like, hey, we're going to meet tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., me and you. And I'm just going to kind of role play all these scenarios that I don't know how to handle with you. And I made it simple on myself. I just said whatever they told me to say in terms of certain objections and things like that. And what's crazy was when I implemented what they said would work, it worked. And so I was like, great, right? And then it kind of starts to get addicting as you get good at it. And you're like, all right, now how many can I do? I want to break some personal records. I want to break some office records. But in the beginning, it was really hard to just understand, like, it's a numbers game, get in front of the people that are getting what you want to get and just ask them what to do. And I think that definitely helped early on.
Nice. Nice. So interesting. I did exactly the same thing. I tell a story a lot about, there's this guy, Jose, in our office who was top in sales, had all this experience. And he says to me, I'm be at the cafe next door every morning at 7, because I did business to business energy sales when I started my career.
Oh, cool.
And he said, if you meet with me, I said, hey, can I meet with you tomorrow? He said, yeah, I have a time. I was like, can I meet with you Wednesday and Thursday? And he said, I can't commit to that because other people have committed to it, but I'll tell you a little secret. Other people are full of shit. So if you're here and they don't show up, you can slip into their time. Mm-hmm. And I met with them 3 times a week, every week, my first 4 weeks, because other people talk a big game. I want to meet with you. I want to do this. And they just, for whatever reason, right? Some real reasons and some not so real. So, so you handling rejection, crying in your car to $1 million business. Like, how does that happen? Right? Like, so what did you have to, personal changes you had to make about your attitude and that side of things? Do you have anything there that you can share?
Yeah, totally. I just think every time someone becomes successful, it's not really because of the skills they have professionally or anything they've really learned professionally. I'm a really big believer that personal development leads to professional success. So I just really took it to heart about like making sure I was getting myself in a headspace where I could go out and crush the competition every single day. So I started reading a lot of books. I love that book by Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass. I like needed that kind of confidence, and I kind of had to brainwash myself to like think that for a little bit. But I started doing stuff like that. I listened to The Sessions Effect, which I think is a really great podcast, especially if you're new in the business. It's very geared to what we're trying to do every day. So on my way to the field, I would listen to that. And then I just started like making decisions that I thought successful people would make. So it was interesting. I lived in Wrigleyville in Chicago. It was a good time. Okay. It was like 22, 23. And, I used to say like I had my best personal time in Wrigleyville and my worst professional time in Wrigleyville, because I didn't know how to say like no to things and prioritize. But when I started acting like a real adult and I was like, hey, it's probably better that I get some sleep on a Thursday night instead of going out all night and then trying to show up to work the next day. Like when I started making decisions like that, things started happening for me, and I constantly try to get myself in rooms of people that are doing better than me. So like I thought Brennan's office in Florida was so fun. And I love being around people that think bigger than me, that have bigger goals, that have different perspectives. And I think my kind of like philosophy on the business was do well so you can get into that room where people are going to like respect you and then learn from them. So constantly getting around people that are in better positions than me, reading podcasts, just making like good, smart decisions that you think successful people would make. It will get you farther than you probably think.
Awesome. Awesome. And I know you have, speaking of Wrigleyville, again, I went through the field in Chicago, so I'm very familiar with John Barleycorn and a couple of those spots. I have some stories for another time in those places. So, but tell me, I know, to your point, like sometimes when you're advancing your career, you have a crowd of people that are maybe not in the same industry or don't have the same goals. And I in Florida, from what I remember, you mentioned a story about some friends that were going away and they wanted to get you wanted to leave early. And why can't you just leave? They give you such a hard time. And then, do you mind sharing that story?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, Chicago is like a big hub for people right out of college, right? And I started in the business 22, fresh out of school. So I had a lot of friends from Mizzou that were in Chicago. And I really loved my job from the beginning because we just had such a great culture. We had so many great people. I felt like I was learning something every day. And, I really wanted to put in the extra time. So I used to get up at like 4 a.m. to get to the office by 6 because it was in the suburbs. I wanted to make sure I was there early. And then, I would hang out with people after work, and I was always trying to like study at home and stuff. And my roommates saw it and my friends saw it. And they used to say things like, why don't you just leave work early on a Friday? Or why don't you take the day off? Or you never come to happy hour with us. You're always with work people. And like, you kill yourself getting up so early in the morning to like go to work 2 hours before you even need to be there. And I think if you're not in the right headspace, that stuff can really affect you because you can really start to think like, yeah, why am I working so hard? Or like, whatever, right? Like if you're not surrounding yourself with a good crowd of people. But really like, I just kind of looked at their situation and I was like, you're never happy when you come home. Like you're always upset about work. You don't like the people you work with. You say how much you can't wait till it's Friday for like the weekend. And what's crazy is I used to be like, I can't wait for Monday. I'm so excited to like see everyone in the office, grow my career, like all of that stuff. And so I think I really had to look and be like, okay, would I trade places with the people that are telling me all of these things? And I looked at all their situations and I was like, no offense, you guys are my friends. They're still my friends. I still love them. But I don't really want the life that you're living right now. And you might not understand why I'm working so hard right now, but give me like 2 years, right? And Ed told me that because I mentioned this to him when I first started. I was like, I get so much flack from my friends and family and stuff. And he was like, Julia, no one's going to believe you until you do it. Like no one's going to believe you until you actually open your own company. So you just need to kind of swallow that and like get there. So I was like, okay. And then he was like, and what's funny is you're going to get to this point where you're 26 and you're going to ask all these girls to go on a girls trip with you and they can't go because they can't get the time off or they can't afford it. And he was right about 2 out of the 3 of those things. They couldn't get the time off. They couldn't afford it. But I wasn't 26. I was 24 when that happened. And I was just like, dang it, Ed, it was right. So I think like you just got to be in tune with yourself, know what you're doing is going to pay off and stay focused and all that stuff doesn't matter. It's just noise.
Yeah. People that succeed in life tend to have people that create noise. And I've found they're coming from a place of love. They want to see you, etc. But I live my life, they live their life. We all make our own choices, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, so tell me about, so growing through the business, tell me about leadership. Any big challenges in coaching, developing, personal changes you had to make when it came to training and developing other people?
Yeah, totally. So I was kind of a late bloomer in the like team development game. I think sometimes we hear these people that are like, I got promoted to assistant management in 7 months and I opened my company in 10. And I'm like, I promoted my first leader like 6 months in. And then it took me another 3 months after that to promote the second one. So like I was 9 months in with two people on my team. And then I had to end up like firing the first one for not hitting standards. So like it wasn't like I wasn't like natural at this. But I think after kind of like reevaluating and be like, all right, I'm 9 months in, there's people that are like starting at the same time I did that are much like farther than me in the business. And I really had to look at myself and be like, okay, if you keep doing what you're doing right now, you're going to wake up in another 9 months and be in the exact same position. But if you maybe start changing some things, you could be in a completely different position in the next like 12 weeks. Right. And so I really went to my mentor at the time and I was like, hey, here's my situation. What are all the things you're seeing me do well so I can double down on those? And then I want you to be super honest. What are the things that you're watching me do that are holding me back and like kind of sabotaging my career without me knowing? Right. And it was just little stuff. Like it was like, not having really appropriate conversations in front of my team, talking about like what I did on Friday night out in Wrigleyville. Right. Which was like fun because, we were all around the same age, but that's not really someone that you want to follow, like I was definitely the girl to follow to the bar, but not in like your career, so I think it was little stuff like that. And then it was really just like being a good example and thinking about the people on my team more than I was thinking about myself. So really when it switched and I started to really develop a large team, it was because I was like, hey, Taylor is starting on Monday. And I know that she just got engaged and they want to have this amazing wedding and like save up a lot of money. So I need to go show Taylor how to be a badass and make sure that she can make a lot of money in the field, equally start growing a team and kind of get into this life that she's been looking for, that she hasn't had this opportunity anywhere else. And so when I started making other people's goals my goals, it was crazy because then I just started hitting all of mine by default. And I think that was kind of like the change. I think at first I was selfish. Like I wanted to get promoted to say like I'm promoted versus like I want to get promoted to help other people and really make impacts on their lives. So I think that was probably the biggest thing.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mentioned yesterday to our team that serving other people and giving is one of the biggest kind of attractions to humans, in my opinion. Like a law of attraction stuff. When you serve people and give because it's just with no intention, just because it's the right thing to do, it's very interesting how the world gives to you.
Yeah.
So tell me, so you're so young in your career and young into a new job. What was it about this industry that made you think about turning it into a career, turning it into, hey, it's just not a sales gig. It's, hey, I can actually do well at this.
Yeah, well, I think I was probably like everybody else when they started. I was like, great, this is going to be awesome. I'll do it for a year, get a lot of experience, and then kind of take everything I learned to a bigger and better company. But I just got so obsessed with the people in our company and the role models that I saw every day. And it wasn't even about their like professional success. Like we've had a lot of people in our business do really well financially. They live in nice homes, they drive nice cars, and they take cool vacations, and all of that stuff is really cool. But I don't even think my promoting owner like knew, but I was looking at like their personal life. Like, what is your relationship like? What does your marriage look like? What kind of friends do you have around you? Like, I really wanted to be around people that were like that. And I think Taylor is on the call too. I snuck her in to hear this, but she was in Florida last week with me. But we were talking after your leaders meeting and you said something about being an example to Brady, I think. And you were saying like, he watches how I treat my wife. And we were talking about it in the car after, and we're like, this is why we like love the business, because we're around people that think like that and are thinking like, my kids are watching what I'm doing and I want to be like a good man and a good father. And that just makes me feel like I want to be around people like that all the time, because I want to become that person. I want to be the best person that I can possibly be. And I looked around the entire business, all of the different like consultants I had met and different coaches and things like that. And I was like, every single person here, I feel like I could call them if something crazy happened in my life, and I could have met them twice and they would answer the phone and they would be there. And I like know that in my heart, which is kind of weird to explain, but like I just know that that would actually be the reality. And I don't think you can say that about a lot of other friends, maybe that you've always grown up with. And I'm obsessed with that culture. I'm obsessed with everyone trying to work harder and hit goals. And I just think being here like helps me become a better person. And my dad actually is pretty good friends with my promoting owner. And my promoting owner told me that when he was golfing with my dad like thanked him and was like, Julia has really grown in the 2 years that she's worked with you. Like she kind of came in with all these dreams, but no idea how to do anything or how to be professional or act or whatever. And now I've really seen her grow into like a really professional young person that people respect and want to be around and would listen to. And he was like, I just have to thank you for that. And so that personal growth,
Awesome.
I get obsessed with that.
It's awesome. Super cool. And I know as a parent, all you want is the best for your kiddos, right? So
Yeah.
super cool. So in business, your rookie year, and you downplayed it. You did 1.3 million, but I don't know how many people. How old were you? 24.
I was 24 when I opened.
So 24, 25 years old. I don't know many people that run $1 million company in their 20s, first of all, in their life, but at 24, which is phenomenal in our industry, in our organization. You're on the panel at Keys to Success, which is, that we picked 5 people out of 300 offices to get a chance to sit in front of everybody and share best practices. So I know that was, I know for me, because I helped on the retail side of things, to run the panel, it's not the easiest situation, but you spoke so well. What would you tell someone new starting in their career, maybe just got started today or this week? Revert back, young Julia, just do this. What would you say?
Yeah, I always tell new leaders in our office 2 things. One, nothing is that big of a deal. Like whatever you're stressing about right now actually doesn't matter. Like I think about all those times I was like crying in my car, and like now in the position I'm in, I'm like, that didn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? So nothing's ever that big of a deal. Give yourself some grace. You're new at it. You're not supposed to be good yet, but you're surrounded by a lot of people that want you to succeed. So you'll be fine. And second piece of advice is be really careful with who you get advice from. And I think sometimes like our whole business is like very much a culture of wanting to help everybody. But I think what really helped me when I was new was if someone started giving me advice about the field, I was kind of a savage. And I would go back to the production log and I would look at their last 4 weeks. And if it wasn't the 4 weeks I wanted to have, I was like, okay, thank you. And like moved on. But if it was someone that was like crushing it, I was like, great, what do you need to say? And I would just implement everything. And I would do the same thing, developing a team, even running an office. Like I went to Brennan's office because I want to run that office, like I want to learn how to do that. And, I think it's just in your personal life too, right? Like I have some family members that maybe try to give me relationship advice with my boyfriend. And I'm like, no offense, I just really don't want to like end up divorced and a bunch of girlfriends and whatever, like no shade, right? But I would take advice from my grandparents who've been married 57 years, like that makes sense to me. So kind of looking at the people talking to you and being like, okay, would I trade places with this person? I think that really helps. And it will keep you like focused and clear on really what to work on.
That is pretty savage. You looked at the production log.
I know, I'm so crazy. I would also
Yeah,
look
hey.
at people's like bubble charts of their teams and I'd be like, "Oh, I don't want that team." I was like so crazy.
Well, listen, I mean, it's incredible philosophy. Like the philosophy of it and the idea of it makes total sense, right? I'm not gonna if I'm a baseball player and I'm not, but I want to be a good one. I'm gonna pick someone who's good at playing baseball. If
Yeah.
I'm want to be a better golfer, I'm gonna find someone who's a really good golfer. If I want to be in dance, I'm gonna find someone. What's that? My wife watches. If you know, Sarah did dance also.
Oh, I didn't
I don't know
know
if you knew
that.
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So the Huffs, Julia
Oh
and
yeah, Derek and Julianne Hough. I love them.
yeah. So I took her to they came to Detroit and we had like front row seats kind of stuff. So it was like a big deal. But yeah, it was awesome.
God, that's
Yeah.
so
So
cool.
she gave us like a high five and stuff. So
Yeah.
Julia, she's like I'm on YouTube. I can't say she's nice looking. I'll say
Yeah.
but cool. So tell us, I know we got to wrap up here, but what are some of your goals now? What are some things, have you been able to, obviously run a great business, you got a blooming organization. What are some things you're able to do, or have you spoiled anyone that you've been dreaming of spoiling along the way? And
Yeah.
curious about that.
Yeah, so I did get hit a big goal my first year in management. Actually, I heard another person in management talk about this when I was new in the business. They said that they cut their parents like a really big check for Christmas just to kind of say thanks. And I remember hearing that and I was like, I want to do that. Like when I open, I'm going to do that. And it really helped me going through the field in Chicago, like there were some days where my feet, I was like, I don't think I feel them anymore. Like, I don't think they're there. And like, I just remember thinking, like, handing that envelope to my parents and imagining what their faces are going to look like. And I just really lived in that moment. It kind of pushed me through a lot of the hardships. So I was able to do that, which was really, really cool. My dad is a huge golfer. So I got him tickets to the Waste Management Open this last year. And he brought his best friend. And I think they had a lot of fun there. But yeah, so I mean, little like material things like that are cool, but really like my big goal, my ultimate goal is to get 100 people in business for themselves. And I just kind of change 100 lives and really get them in a position where they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and like live an amazing life. And also any outside deal, I want to do something no one's ever done before. And people tell me it's impossible, but I think we can do it. I never want to shut down an outside deal. I just want to make sure every single person that gets this opportunity can have an amazing life after opening. I think like we work so hard to get to that point. So why would we work so hard just to get there and then let it all kind of crumble? I want to set people up for success and make sure that they're going to have the year I had my first year or beat it. I would love for people to beat it. So those are my two big goals right now.
Awesome. Well, Julia, I hope when you wrote that goal on that post-it note to be on the Clear channel, I hope it was everything you imagined.
It was. Yes.
So thank you so much. I'm going to take the pins off of our videos so we can get back to everybody seeing us. But if you guys can take yourselves off mute and say thank you so much for Julia, I really appreciate it. So happy Friday. Julia, have an amazing weekend. Thanks so much. And we appreciate you being a great example for all of us in running our organizations and being leaders. So have an awesome day.
Awesome. Thank you guys. This was fun.
Thank you.